All right, and now we are live back again with another episode of mine and Tyrell's morning show with episode 7, I believe. You guys hearing the static?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. So yeah, I just got in here late, so I don't exactly have any. I wasn't expecting any guests because usually we just be just talking and just yeah, basically just whatever's on our mind. And yeah, for me, I don't know. Over the last weekend, I know that we were over the past week. Um, I don't know. I haven't been on the podcast. We haven't done the podcast in like I don't know a couple days, but yeah, once I watched your interview, that was pretty interesting. About so where do you work in Onion Lake?
I work in Lloydminster at Residence and Recovery as a caseworker.
Yeah,
Prior to that, I had worked downtown Vancouver and in Chilliwack as an outreach worker. So working a one-on-one with individuals with mental health and addiction.
yeah.
And then I moved back to Lloyd in December, so just before Christmas time. And then that's when I started back at Residence and Recovery.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're there for how long? About like a year or two in at
Um,
Lloyd.
well, I was born and raised in Lloyd.
Oh,
I did work at Residence and Recovery prior
yeah.
to moving out to BC, and then I moved out to BC for about a year and a half and worked out there, and then I just came back to Residence.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it like a big is it the same kind of I guess cases that you usually dealt with in BC opposed to like here in the prairies?
No.
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 Well, I imagine so because like it being like a big city and there's a lot more poverty. And like I don't know, I'm not sure if you guys are seeing and like what's happening in Lloydminster. I'm not sure if you
Mhm.
guys are see that there's like a bunch of homeless, so there's a bunch of poverty happening in Lloyd there. So I don't know, I for some reason I also have that humanity, like I don't know, feeling just to help and try and at least better the cause because I'm not sure who you work with um what the heck's his name? I seen it last year on he was trying to help out the homeless
Mhm.
shelter and like basically trying to give like programs to them. But how's that going?
So that's, I believe, Tyler, like the owner of Residence and Recovery.
Yeah, like an older gentleman, like a gray hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now we don't really have many men's programs up and running. We
Hmm.
do have anger management that's going on in the evenings.
Yeah.
Just because the government hasn't like been able to provide the funds for us to be able to have that open to the public and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, I mean, it has been a struggle. We do have it open to the public for women though.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's not really reaching the whole community,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks because I mean, it is beneficial for other individuals to be able to get the full experience, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I kind of just dove right in there. I didn't even introduce you guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What is your name again?
I'm Madison.
Madison.
And then,
Theory and Skylar and She.
And are you also under like the same department as
No,
Madeline?
no,
Oh.
I'm a summer student here.
Oh, here. Really nice. How's that going? Like within the band office?
No, at health and wellness
Oh, really?
underneath the cultural team.
Yeah. And how are you enjoying that? Are you like I don't know. I think my brother was same place when he was doing the summer student. That's the clinic, right?
Mhm.
Nice. So,
Actually, no, it's separate.
mhm.
Clinic. It's specific for like mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So, is there anything that you've been learning from there? Like,
Yeah, because last year I worked there as a summer student as well, but it was underneath the clinical side.
yeah,
and but this time I'm underneath the cultural team, and I get to attend a lot of ceremonies and learn a lot about our traditional ways. And
Yeah.
it's been really informative and really fascinating. Getting a really dark tan. Like
yeah.
it's a lot of work out in the sun. It's a lot of work though, like doing certain ceremonies like the Sundance, putting up the lodge, like
Oh,
really taxing on your body.
yeah.
yeah. So you help out with like even like sweats and like. Did you know any of like this like the cultural side prior before joining any of it?
Not really, because prior to, I guess, reconnecting with the culture,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in a city,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't until like a few years ago that I started to get into ceremonies and things like that and started learning like about our traditional ways.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a new experience.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that previous episodes how I didn't know who I was I thought I was just a brown kid, amongst other brown kids. And now that I came to Onion Lake, I realized, being Nehewak, being Cree is who I am. So that's really interesting. So I find that really great now that I'm not sure if there's much youth that exactly follow the ceremonies nowadays because I don't know, I just started again doing horse dances. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys know what that is. I didn't know what that was until last year.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's I don't want to dive into it because if I explain it, I'll get really into detail and I don't know. Yeah. You have any
Um,
questions or Tatum?
Not really. I guess that's like another good thing to touch on. I guess that sense of identity. I feel like because I know you talked about how you haven't really been in touch with the traditions and cultures, and I feel that that's kind of most youth nowadays, which is kind of sad. I feel not a lot of them are in touch with the cultures and traditions that the older generation was used to and grew up with and stuff like that. So I guess um, they're just they're struggling with that, which is not that good.
Yeah.
But
Have you ever is that sort of one of the common factors in poverty is they don't exactly know who they are or they just kind of struggling with finding themselves? Because I feel like that's sort of how it is because I have a couple of cousins that don't really know who they are. They say they're finding themselves, but they kind of get lost in addiction and all of that. I'm not exactly sure if you've ever dealt with that over
Mhm.
at the residence over there.
I mean, it's kind of anywhere, right? Like
Yeah.
even when I was out in BC, I mean, it depends on the way, like your story, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, some people really don't know who they are from the start,
Mhm.
right? Like growing up, they lose their self. So I mean, there's intergenerational trauma, there's absolutely everything, right? So I mean, even for myself, being able to find myself again, it takes certain roads. Like you got to go down every road to find the right one, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it didn't until I was probably, I can't remember, like 22 maybe, I started finding myself again. I mean, I'm not indigenous myself. I
Mhm.
grew up with it because my sister is Métis, so I did have that connection, but being able to turn to the ceremonies and stuff like that, that's when I started to find myself and finding those holistic approaches and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So now that I'm learning, I'm able to maybe not educate people myself, but just say hey, this has helped me and maybe you should try that. So turning to my clients and stuff like
Yeah.
that and being is that something you're interested in? Connecting with your culture and stuff like that and turning to alternative healings. So
Yeah.
I personally find it helps, but I mean it doesn't help with everybody. But I mean if you try, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking as well. It doesn't necessarily
Mhm.
I'm not sure it doesn't have to be culture. It could also
Mhm.
be activities that you find yourself into working out. I just tried working out again too cuz I used to do that when I was younger, but
Mhm.
I kind of lost myself too into I guess an addiction where
Mhm.
I haven't really been my same self where I the same type of dude that loves writing and all of that. So
Mhm.
it wasn't only the Cree culture that I found to find myself, but it was also I guess being stoic and the philosophy of stoicism and the higher being or whatever you put out there into the universe, it'll come back to you tenfold or I don't know,
Yep.
just basically keeping I'm not sure if you're into crystals.
Yeah.
Are you into crystals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, recently, kinda, was, diving into that as well because I kinda wanted to, figure different stuff out, almost I guess those crystals kinda, have different type of, characteristics,
Mhm.
type of healing factors, and that's sort of what I kinda found. I'm not sure if you've ever felt that, Theo? Theorin. Am I saying that right?
Therian.
Theorin. That's really dope. I like that. Theorin. But I never like kind of felt that way of like it doesn't have to be like cultural or it could be anything else.
Um, yeah, you can't expect people to follow like ways of living.
Yeah.
Um, we all go through our own paths. We will find things that work better for us because at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're just trying to create an explanation of why we're here on this planet on this
Mm-hmm.
earth. And we can look to different sources of inspiration for that, right? And in sociology, they actually talk about this. It's called fragmented religions, where people take pieces, bits and pieces from everything, and kind of make a mosaic of their own belief system.
Mm.
So in that sense, everybody's own belief system is very unique to themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and it's whatever works for you, right? There's no set definition of how you should live your life or how you should believe. But going back to identity, I think culture plays a huge role in identity because if you don't know who you are or what you believe in, a lot of times what you're doing is you fill that hole, that gap in your life with substances and things like that. And um culture, at least like ceremonies and things like that, are a good way to fill that as well because it adds a belief system. But by going to ceremonies and cultures, it really helps build your the foundation of your identity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what it means to be indigenous is um is experiencing it, right? Is to go there and actually live the experience. Like I can go on and explain how a Sundance looks and explain like all the processes,
Yeah.
but it's missing the fundamental experience, and that's a lot of what it means to be indigenous as well. Um, sorry, I can't remember what I was talking about.
It's all good. Yeah, so like yeah, building off of that, like it's the same thing. Like I was told about like the reason why sweats had like certain amount of poles and like the doors facing north, I'm pretty sure, right?
No, so
South? Yeah, like yeah, I didn't know that. So like I need to continue doing my experiences and like I didn't experience that until I came to Onion Lake, but before that I was like only knew about it until I actually experienced it and actually I felt like it felt like the healing factor, you know, it felt like I actually knew who I was and like it was my first time ever being in a sweat and I had to tap out the first round. So I went out, but they welcomed me back with open arms and then I was like I actually felt it and felt nice. And same thing, like I haven't experienced the Sundance, but that's something that you need to try and do is like jump right into it, like just be native.
just do it.
Just do it.
I didn't think I was gonna make it through my first sweat.
No, oh, you've been to a sweat.
Yeah. I like the first round, I was like, oh boy. I'm like sitting there, I had to put like the towel over my face and I was like, am I gonna make it? And I
Right.
felt so bad. I'm like, if I can't make it through this, like am I like what's gonna happen to me kind of
Right.
thing. But no, I stuck it through and I did it. And I like after the first round, the second round it went really good and then I started feeling a lot better. But I didn't think
Yeah.
I was gonna make it.
Did they tell you to put the towel over your head too?
Yeah.
Did they? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Okay. That wasn't only me.
Yeah.
'Cause, I couldn't
Like
do it.
I remember like the elder that was sitting beside me, she kind of like tapped me. She's like, "Are you okay, Maddie?" I'm like, "Am I hearing this? Like, is this her actually talking to me?" Because I couldn't see anything. And then I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." I'm like, "What if I'm talking to nobody right now?"
The
Yeah.
grandfathers.
The grandfather.
Yeah, somebody like talking to me. Yeah.
Have you ever experienced that, Taden? You-
I went to a sweat when I was like really, really little.
Yeah.
But like I guess I haven't really because we had a sweat like lodge at my Gookums and Musham's house.
Mhm.
So I guess that's like the only time I've really done it. And that was like like a while back though, like only go pretty while back. So
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is there any other sweats? Any other ceremonies that you've experienced?
I went to a ghost dance.
A ghost dance. That's my first time. Do you know what that is?
I've never been to it, but I understand the meaning of it.
Yeah.
It's a ceremony to honor the past loved ones,
Hmm.
and you're kind of dancing for them.
Oh, really? Is that's not like a Sundance where they have like the women and the men on one side? Is that sort of how it's set up?
I've never been, so I don't
Oh.
know.
I mean, I don't really want to like speak on the behalf because I'm not really like
That
I don't
experience.
know it,
Yeah.
but like yes. Like I know the men are on one side, the women are on the other side.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Is that that's not Plains Cree ceremony, is that?
It is, yeah.
Oh, really? Because I know that different different cultures or different tribes have different I guess ways of conducting their ceremonies. Because I'm pretty sure down in Calgary area, I'm not sure where what tribe.
That'd be Blackfoot.
Yeah, Blackfoot, how they do their sun dances, and I don't know, I thought it was really interesting and like learning all of the cultures or like different ways of how they do it. And I'm not sure if you guys ever know, I'm not sure if you guys heard of how they do their sun dances. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it either because like I'm not I haven't done it. I only knew it like was told from like word of mouth of someone that actually experienced it. But like that's amazing how like they put themselves through that, and like even ourselves, like the Cree, how they fast for 4 days, days and nights, no water, no food or anything, and they just dance, and like you're putting yourself through that to like really strengthening yourself. And like I feel like you take that also into life because like I guess everyday things like shit's about to happen. You know, shit always happens every day, and like you always just have to just wake up and like push right through it, through it. Because like that's exactly what I was kind of feeling these past few days, where I didn't want to get out of bed, but I kind of like instead of saying I have to get out, or no, I instead of saying I got to get out of bed, just change that one word to I get to get out of bed, because like everything in life is like pretty much a privilege. So you just gotta like look a different way into life. So like I get to go to work, I get to deal with the coworkers, I get to, get up, get to brush my teeth, I get to do all of this stuff, because like it's a privilege. So that's sort of what I kind of gained from learning about Cree cultures and like our Cree culture and like the ceremonies. Yeah, so I'm not sure if like stoicism has helped me a lot. I'm not sure if you know what stoicism is.
Not really.
Well,
I
in
feel
like
like I'm kind of catching what you're talking about, but yeah.
yeah, Theron, have you you know what stoicism, right? Because I seen you
Ye-
nodding like when
Yeah,
I said
it's um. Well, I think in today's day and age, it's done wrong.
yeah.
Stoicism was meant to be in tune with yourself, but today's day and age, stoicism is used as a kind of forefront for masculinity
Mm,
and how we portray and or how our society treats men.
yeah,
And it's this expectation that men are not allowed to feel their emotions. They're
yeah.
not allowed to express their emotions. And this is what they use stoicism for. They say, "Oh, I'm stoic. I don't have any emotions. I'm unmovable."
Yeah,
And in that sense, it's really toxic, right? Because everybody has emotions, and it's extremely healthy to express that.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's just kind of my take on stoicism, I guess.
Yeah, I love that take. That's actually a really. I was just gonna say it's more of seeing the glass half full, but it's always refillable. Like I don't know, I kind of see that now that you say that. Like there is a toxic, I guess, perspective or toxic, I guess, image that they kind of portray on that. Because like, uh, stoicism, like you said, isn't only about like trying to be like alpha or like a sigma or whatever it is nowadays, but like it's basically like you said, being in tune with yourself and like trying to like find the best inside yourself. So if you can't help others unless you help yourself to better yourself, and like trying to like I don't really like the phrase "it is what it is," but it sort of works in a way because like you can't change anything. You just gotta live in the moment and like just take it one day at a time, and just like really just try and better yourself, be better than you were before, like before yesterday. yesterday. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. Just trying to sound really philosophical.
I was actually talking about how like the whole thing behind like men and how they don't feel emotions and like all that kind of stuff the other day.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was in a book like how they say like men don't cry. It's like where did that come from?
Yeah.
Because like that's kind of where I don't know, like that's how I feel like men are taught today is like, well, men don't cry, men don't have emotion, men can't feel, like, And now working in the field, it's like trying to like take it back to like yes men cry, yes men feel emotion, and like how do you switch that back when it's like one person facing the world,
Yeah.
like that's how I feel trying to like take it back.
Mhm.
It's tough, really tough.
It's it's more of like it's a cultural thing, right?
Hmm.
Especially here in the West, because a lot of our culture is influenced by European settlers.
Hmm.
They had a patriarchal belief where men held power.
Hmm.
So that still resonates today with a lot of our culture and our society. Um, and it's always changing, right? So like let's go back to Victorian age when men used to wear makeup, but
Hmm.
now go to today where men don't wear makeup, women wear makeup. It's seen as effeminate.
Hmm.
It just kind of shows how it's always changing. But to understand that it's everything is just fabricated and there's no preset way to define yourself, even if society says that you should live this way, it doesn't have to be the way you live your life. And just kind of understanding that will kind of free you in a lot of ways and how you express yourself. Because the way that society treats men is extremely unfortunate for the
Hmm.
most part. Like, yeah, I understand women have their own problems, but um, men are expected to deal with everything by themselves, like stoicism,
Hmm.
and but kind of understanding that you don't have to fit that template in order to be happy. Makes
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
can make you a lot more freeing in your life, I guess.
Like
Yeah.
lean on somebody.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
The yeah that kind of goes back to like community values as well.
Hmm.
That's something I started to realize when I was attending ceremonies. It like a lot of our culture is based on community as opposed to individualism, like we see in the West. And this is something that you'll understand a lot more if you live in the city as opposed to the res. When you're on the res, you're surrounded by all your family, your community. But when you're in the city, you're kind of by yourself. It's every man
Hmm.
for themselves. And when you're attending ceremony, it really envelops you in that sense of community. And this helps uh, identify or set your identity as well, because we are not a people who are supposed to do everything by ourselves.
Mhm.
We're supposed to be supported by our family, by our community, and by going to ceremony, that really allowed me to appreciate that as well, and kind of really set the foundation for my identity as well, and appreciate the people and where I came from.
Yeah, I really like that because, like, I don't know, uh, you sound really articulate, whenever you talk. So I'm just really focused and intrigued. I'm not sure, Madeline, have you experienced that? Like, going while working at the sorry, where is it? What can I call it? I don't want to keep saying residency.
Residence in recovery. I
Oh,
mean, it's a
residence.
treatment center, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Sober living. Yeah. Um, in what sense?
Well, like, not only like seeing like men, but also women. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not sure. There's also kind of like I guess a view how women are looked as well because like I'm not sure. It seems like nowadays, like in this day, it seems like everything is starting to really be I don't know, the new generation is having no filter, when they say like get in the kitchen and like women are supposed to be in like power or leadership. But
Hmm.
like I'm not sure, is that something you've also like experienced going like growing up? Have you ever experienced like I guess negative stuff like that?
In a sense, like I mean, even talking to people, it's like, oh well, you have the blue and pink jobs, you know, like
Yeah.
that's what I've heard a lot more recently.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like, okay, but what are those jobs? And like, w- I don't know. For myself, like I think like the hardest thing for me was to learn to be alone, and it's like you can't really rely on anybody else to do those jobs that are supposed to be for men or
Mhm.
whatever, you know, like whatever society sees it as. And it's like for me working in like a treatment center or anything like that, it's like you can be codependent on somebody else and rely on somebody else to do those things, but in the end, who's going to be there?
Yeah.
You're going to be there for yourself. So it's like you kind of just have to learn more about yourself than
Mhm.
you can anybody else. So like I would say the most I see is like that codependency of like relying on somebody else to do those things. But that's where I like try and reframe it. Like, okay, come back to yourself and let's heal you.
Yeah.
Like look inward on yourself.
Yeah, I like that reframe it. Like
Yeah.
that's sort of what I kind of see as well. Like it's like single parents are
Mhm.
single dads, like they do all of that stuff. Like even like single moms, they have to take care of their stuff, take care of their stuff. They have to take care of their kids and like
Yeah.
do all of the parenting by themselves. But like even men too, there are men out there that are single parents, are single dads, and
Yeah.
like they have to, learn how to cook or learn how to do all of this stuff. And like I'm not like me growing up, I was, mainly, like, keeping my little brothers and all of that, when we were living in, Hobima,
Mhm.
and we were by ourselves, and, like, that's sort of what I had to, like, really break is, like, I don't know, learn how to cook and clean up for themselves, um, and I guess basically play the role as both of them. I'm not saying that was me, but, like,
No.
there
Yeah.
there are, men out there that have to, like, really pick up the slack and like really have to like help themselves in order to help others.
I wouldn't say it's only men
Yeah,
though.
no,
But
not only
like
men, but like yeah, women as well. Like they have to like I don't know, pick up sports or something, learn how to like I don't know. I know a few women that taught me how to change a tire. So like
see what I mean? Like it
yeah.
I feel like men and women should be seen as equal.
Yeah.
I mean that's my opinion, and that's going to take a very long time for society to see that, but
Yeah.
like there is no difference between a man and a woman.
No.
Like, I mean, we can both equally do the same thing. Like, it's not like men can only have the trades type of jobs and women can have this. Like, no, like, I don't, like, it goes for anything, like, work wise or anything. Like, we can, as women, learn whatever we want to learn.
Mhm.
They actually did a study on this. It was a meta analysis. So a
Mhm.
meta analysis is when they look over all other researches and they kind of take the data from that and make comparisons. Um, so a meta analysis looks at those meta analyses and kind of takes all that data and sees what they come up with. So anyway, it was huge, and what happened was for the study was based on men and women's differences
Mhm.
across different categories. Um, and what they found through all of these studies, these thousands and thousands of studies, was that on all categories, men and women were fundamentally the same, except for physical. And you know that we see that because men have testosterone, which allows to gain, uh, like they allows them to build muscle more easily.
Mhm.
But aside from that, men and women are fundamentally similar in all factors. So I do agree about that. Like you kind of see this in the Olympics as well with like the boxing, um, with the trans woman who went in there and decimated their opponent.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
this kind of like I'm all for free expression and everything like that, like equal rights, but we still have to take into consideration the fundamental differences between a male and female's anatomy.
Mhm. Yeah, most definitely. Like, I don't know, like you said, we're totally like scientifically, we're built different, but we can do equal stuff,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not ashamed to say that my mom is my dad, but like she seemed like she's superhuman, and she's taught me really, I guess, to what it is to be, I guess, respectful, what it is to like have manners, and like that's not only like, I guess, being a man, being able to shotgun a beer or something or change a tire. Like I didn't know how to change a tire. My cousins showed me how to do that. So I don't know. It's like the meta thing there. I like that because like we are built different, but like we can like take on these jobs, take on these roles, these leadership roles, and like maybe women have a better idea than men, and like I kind of see that. I don't know. I'm not sure if you guys ever hear like men women live longer than men because like I
I
don't know.
have heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like my brothers and I are stupid. So like we do stupid stuff, and like I kind of believe that. I'm sorry, did I cut you off? Were
No,
you oh.
no, you're good. I was just saying I believe that. Like I know I learned that in school that men or women live longer than men.
Mhm.
But
Is that like old age, or does that mean like they just
There's a lot of factors.
yeah.
One main one is that men tend to not look after themselves as much, especially if they get injured. They're less likely to go and seek medical attention.
Yeah.
And this is why, when speaking in like heteronormative terms, when a man gets in a relationship with a woman, his life expectancy increases because uh, she forces him to go and look after himself
Mm.
and take care of like these minor injuries that which could become like bigger injuries later on. And this could also speak to stoicism as well, where men are supposed to just keep it all in, and it kind of aligns to our the cultural expectation of how men treat themselves.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that. Do you think that is like a factor of being like toxic masculinity where they would rather like keep it all in and like bottle it up and then like wait until like
Yeah,
the
because
right moment to really explode?
it's it's seen as masculine to endure pain.
Yeah.
It's seen as masculine to not seek help
Mhm.
from anyone else, to do it yourself. So that could speak on that as well, which would definitely decrease life expectancy.
Yeah, and then like that kind of like I feel like everyone sort of has that mindset where they kind of build up walls for themselves, and then they don't. I'm not sure if they don't want to. At least I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they want to try and express it, or else they don't know how to express it, because like my brothers and I will just like make fun of like the situation and try and like use humor as like a defense mechanism or a way to like really deal with stuff. But at the same time, I know we all kind of want to at least like express our emotions, but I don't necessarily know how to like endure that, but also really give the best advice, because I'm not exactly sure what to say or if I'm going to say the wrong thing. So I feel like I'm not sure if you guys ever felt that way of like not
It's
wanting to at least or feeling scared to say the wrong thing.
it's hard to it's hard to be vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to be vulnerable with people. It's easy to use humor to kind of alleviate that as well. But by using humor, that kind of takes away a lot of what the main point was. Um, Not to say that using humor is bad.
Hmm.
Using humor is a great coping mechanism. Um, but it's more or less about finding that right person who you can trust and being vulnerable with them. And in most cases, that can be a therapist as well,
Hmm.
right? I don't understand the stigma behind going to a therapist, as it's seen like as weak or something like that. But having somebody to that is qualified to express yourself can be extremely beneficial for a lot of people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure. Are you going into university for this type of stuff?
Yeah,
Because
that's
you,
actually that's actually what I'm going for.
yeah, you
What are
sound
you,
really.
are you going for a therapist?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go for to become a licensed therapist.
Nice.
So in Saskatchewan, you need your PhD. In Alberta, you just need your master's. But
Really?
ultimately, I do want to go for my PhD
Really,
in
where are you going to school for this?
University of Calgary.
Nice, because like the way you're talking is very. I don't know. It's so smart, it's so intelligent, and like
You're
Thank
using
you.
big words.
yeah, like narrow neck knock miss. I don't know.
Some doctor words.
Some doctor words. That's really awesome how you're doing that. You know. Deshane says great discussion today. That's because of these two individuals
Hey, I know
here.
that
You
guy.
know.
Hi, Deshane.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you guys so much for like no talking like this because like usually we should be talking about like movies or I think we were talking about like Indian food, but like this
Yeah.
is totally different topic and like this is the type of stuff that I believe Fraser wanted for the podcast and like that's what we want is some people like different backgrounds and different experiences and different way of thinking because like we all think differently but like I guess I forget how that saying goes. Like we're cut from the same cloth, or weaving from the same cloth, or different threads, same cloth. I don't know. We're all different people, but like we're all here on the planet Earth, and like I don't know. We want better for the I guess future generation because that's sort of what I was just lately been thinking is about like what is my grandkids going to say about me doing like today and like I don't know I kind of want to at least do something good with my life so that the future generation can at least I guess
Benefit?
benefit yeah
Yeah.
benefit from that because I'm sure our ancestors back then wanted like best for ourselves especially like trying to strat strategically come up with the treaties so that like we're not totally left, to fend for ourselves. And like that's sort of what I believe. I'm not sure what background you come from, Madeline. Where do you come from exactly?
I am part French
Yeah.
and just English.
All
I don't
right.
know. Yeah.
I think I have a. I don't know. My mom said I guess the Mason side, that's a last name. They
Yeah.
have a little bit of English people or English in their blood.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to be English, but like I'm not sure. Have you ever like taken stuff from like your parents or your grandparents that you like are thankful for their teachings from like to now?
Um, that's a good question. I kind of looked at this in school a bit, but like, no, like
Hmm.
I don't know because it's like it's so normal to me. Like I guess I don't
I
know.
don't know. I totally get what you're saying because
Like
like.
I would. There's nothing unique,
Hmm.
Like whereas like growing up, like my sister's Métis, as I said before, like so having like her cook 'em and mush 'em, like that was kind of like my family too, and like
Hmm.
I find the indigenous culture so unique. So like they have like ceremonies and stuff. Like I feel like my background doesn't have anything like that to
Hmm.
like.
I'm
Does
sure
that make
no,
sense?
that makes sense because like I feel like you are also trying to like you mainly like think not think but like you were mainly drawn towards the native side but like I
Hmm.
do believe that there are some teachings that your English and French fathers have also taught you because like I don't know it makes you
Yeah.
and like it's very unique
Hmm.
like you saying I'm using your word unique now but it is very unique about like I guess it doesn't seem like it's very interesting to you but I feel like to me like it's very interesting because it makes you who you are and like you are drawn to the native culture because that's what your sister's been doing and like that's sort of where you've been like around mainly and I feel like once you have like understanding of both pretty much who you are as a person and where you come from you will know where you're going and that's sort of
Hmm.
what I enjoy listening to you because like I wouldn't have thought French or English. I don't know.
What would you have thought?
I don't, I don't know. I was gonna say Dutch or or German, but yeah, I'm sure that there are principles that
Yeah.
your grandparents or your parents have even taught you, like I guess being loyal or being respectful.
Yeah, for sure. Um, to get me to where I am today, though, um, I don't even know, honestly. Like, I guess the industry that some of my family members are in, and
Yeah.
just kind of like leaning towards that, and then educating myself
Hmm.
is the way I kind of went. And like through that, like I obviously had like traumatic events happen in my own life, to kind of get me to where I am today, to want to further educate myself and be able to educate everyone around me. So that's kind of, I guess, my
I like that.
inspiration.
Yeah. And what about Ether? And like, is there like, I know that you came from like living in the city to now. I'm sure like all of the stuff that you've been going through in the past builds you who you are now. So like, I'm sure there are principles that you've kind of gathered, kind of developed, and I'm not sure if they've like are with you right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Yeah. Similar to how you said like your mom is your dad. That's how my experience was as well. My mom had to take a lot of those roles of being a dad,
Mm-hmm.
and I was also raised by my older sister, so it allowed me to appreciate women, I think, a lot
Yeah.
more, as opposed to somebody who was maybe raised by a man. And as Maddie said as well, like I've had my own traumatic experiences that shaped me who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think those allowed me to have an appreciation for, I guess, living through that, and it allows me to put that into perspective of what I can overcome, you know, to, I guess, today,
Yeah.
where things may be easier. Things can get hard, yes, but things have been harder. Um, and going back to ceremony as well, that as well allows me to put that into perspective, because it's a lot of hard work, right? If you go through all rounds at a sweat, um, and you're like, oh my god, I actually survived that, because like it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
That allows you to put in perspective of what, or when future challenges come, right? You're like, well, okay, well, this is nothing. I went through all 4 rounds at a sweat, kind of deal. And a lot of ceremonies are like that as well, because they're really taxing. Like my body is absolutely destroyed, because yesterday I was at Ministiquan putting up a Sundance Lodge, and I didn't think it was that bad because there was a lot of help. But like I got home and I just, like, my body just hurt from head to toe. It's crazy. But then I can use that, right, as this perspective later on when, I don't know, I'm studying, or I'm stressing about tests. Like this is nothing,
Yeah.
it's nothing compared to put up a lodge or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I like that perspective a lot, like how I guess it's only I guess you can think of like it's hard right now. Like you can think about it as like it's the hardest it's gonna get right now. Like if you like you said, studying for tests, like I get that a lot. Being really stressed and like being really anxious about the test. Always remind myself that like it's only hard and stressful right now, and you'll feel a lot better after the test, which I feel like a lot of people can like resonate with that. Like I guess like if you're going through like a traumatic event or like a tough time, you can think of it as like it's hard now, but if you just keep pushing through it, it will definitely get easier. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
But
Sorry, I can't remember what I was saying.
it's good.
Oh, yeah, shaping my identity, I guess.
Mhm.
One main thing that is kind of like a takeaway for me, I think, was humility, and what that means. Like sitting with our people really made me appreciate what that meant. Like I was always told be humble, but I didn't understand what that meant. But to me, that's, sharing a fork or
Mhm.
something like that. Uh, or sharing a cup without wiping off the thing, sitting on the ground, sitting anywhere, going into the bush. It just, and also treating everything with respect. So that's one of the main things that I've been learning recently, going to ceremonies, um, and what it means to actually be humble and take an appreciation for how humble our people really are. And it just makes me really proud.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've kind of like. I didn't know exactly what humble or being humility or having humility. I didn't know exactly what that meant too until I really, learned about, like I said, it always goes back to culture for me as well, where I didn't know any of that. And like until you said, being an escapios at like a feast and like learning to like not really take yourself so seriously where you don't want to embarrass yourself, but like having that humility and being able to at least go out there and help yourself with not even having the idea of like making yourself a fool and like not really, I don't know, it's like being humble is like, to me, is very, I guess, my principle. I always want to be humble about everything and like always want to, like you said, share a fork, or else, if someone's cold, I'll give them my jacket, or someone you know, at least like doing that. And I'm thankful for my mom for showing me that too, because she's uh she's basically showed me how to like be respectful, not only to others, but also to like to myself as well. Because like you said, like I don't know, having a man wouldn't really show you how to brush your teeth or anything. So my mom taught me about like hygiene and proper, taking care of yourself properly. And like having humility is and like humbleness is my main principle, because like I have little brothers and little like a sister and a niece, and like that's something I'm still trying to at least mold myself into, is someone who they could look up to and like who they could rely on. Not only them, but also like my family members as well. My aunt, my uncles, my mushum gukums, all of them. So like you said, we're a community that helps each other, and like that's sort of what I enjoy. Yeah. I'm not sure. um I'm not sure, Taden. Have you ever felt that way? Like, because you said you have siblings, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, is that something that you're trying to also be for them?
Yeah, like obviously that like I have a younger brother and younger sister, so I've always thought that I've always wanted to be like a role model to them, which I feel like I have, like I feel like I've taken, I guess, the right steps to show them what, I guess, natives can do. I
Mhm.
guess because like my mom likes to talk about how like it's really hard to be native and stuff like that, which it is for me because like I've dealt with like racism and stuff like that and just like adversity like with hockey and school. So I feel like that was a good like step for me to like show them that they can push through that to get to, I guess, where I have gotten to now, going to school in the States and stuff. Um but yeah, like I guess that can also resonate with like a bunch of other young native people that like, which I hope to like help inspire, I guess, too, to like you can push through those adversities. Like I know my one little cousin, he's like really smart. He was dealing with some racism um playing hockey this year, which was like really upsetting to me because I've gone through it and I know a bunch of other people have gone through it. And like I said, he's really smart, and I've wanted to talk to him because he wants to talk to me about like school and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just like really excites me, I guess. Like
Yeah.
it really it makes me happy that like that kids can look up to me and
Yeah.
what I'm doing, which like that's one thing that I've really thought of a lot. So
Yeah, I'm not sure that's really interesting to talk about, because like I've always wanted to talk about like people dealing with racism, and for me, I must have been, I don't know, guess I'm fortunate enough to like really not experience that, but unless I was too blind to even see it that it was racist.
mhm.
So I'm not sure. I kind of get what you're saying, because like you went through that, now you have the, I guess, the tools to really help them out with that. I'm not sure, have you guys ever dealt with that as well? Like getting like, I guess, I'm not I wouldn't say racist, but
Yeah,
like
not necessarily like racism, but I guess like adversity or something
yeah.
like that, and just kind of like pushing through that. I'd say.
Mhm.
I
Have
think I think like it exists, right?
Mhm.
It's there, and I've dealt with it a lot. But kind of talking about what you're saying, it maybe it can be about perspective as well, right?
mhm.
Because you can take any amount of information and interpret it any different way you want. So if somebody is walking and they kind of bump into you, you can either say, "Wow, this guy is kind of a douche,"
Mhm.
with their problem, or maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they're lost in their own world, right? So this kind of perspective that we take can really change how our day to day operates.
Yeah.
Um, but that being said, racism is alive and well, and the way that people treat at least us indigenous people, it's definitely different, right? It's kind of something that we have to, I guess, accept for what it is, because we can't, at the end of the day, we can't change anybody else and change who they are. We can just continue on our day-to-day lives and try not to let it affect us as much as we can, and maybe change our perspective to our own benefit.
Yeah.
um and going off of that, that's actually one of my greatest strengths. I call it mental gymnastics, where you can take any situation and kind of uh think about it in a different way to your own benefit. Like I don't know, let's say I broke my leg. That's obviously a pretty terrible situation to be in, right?
Mhm.
um and be like, and I can think, oh man, poor me, this sucks, I can't do all X, Y, and Z. Or I can use, say, mental gymnastics to kind of rewire it in a way that is to my benefit. Like, oh man, wow, I can look at all this Netflix I can watch, something like that. And it's something that we can all do, right?
Mhm.
You can just think about it to our own benefit.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that, like, cause I feel like that's something I've sort of started to adapt, like, kind of thinking of like new perspectives. Cause like I know people usually are like really have like struggle with like tunnel vision. I feel
Mhm.
like they're really focused on what's right in front of them, and they're not considering these other things that could, like you said, like someone bumping into you on the road. Like, wow, this guy just bumped into me. Like, what is he doing? Like, you're not. You're like they're really focused on that, and they're not considering like what he's going through or something like that.
Mhm.
So I think like that's a really helpful thing. I feel like to like go like help yourself like I guess if you're having a bad day or something like that, you can consider new perspectives and like how to make it better. Like you said, benefit like mental
Mhm.
gymnastics to help benefit yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's really a really good perspective to have. So
Yeah, have you kinda had to do that while working at the residence, Madeline? Like, you had to really use I like that mental gymnastics. So, have you had to do that?
100%. Yeah. Like I was going to say, having to, I guess, work with individuals in both like mental health and addiction, like it isn't about me and how I'm going to benefit them. I have to look at all avenues. Like, what's your story? Because it always reflects back, right?
Mhm.
It's like not in this moment. So, like, that's what I think on a daily basis is like, if something is to happen to me and like someone were to react to me in a negative way, it's like, why should I take what you say to heart when it's like, okay, what's going on within you right now? So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to sit here and cry because you just said this to me. What is going on? Like, and I just kind of reflect back in that, and I'm like, how can I help this person maybe get to where they want to be, or how can I get them so that like they're not holding that within them of like that resentment of something stemming from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of think of, like not only within my line of work, but also like on a daily basis if someone is to have like a negative impact within.
Yeah. So, is that, I don't know, are you an empath? You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you? Would you consider yourself?
Yeah. And that's the kind of crappy thing that sucks within my line of work is
Yeah.
like I'm very empathetic. So I do carry a lot of emotion and it is tough, especially if I don't try and like shut it off
Mhm.
before I go into work every day and I go home and I'm like I feel like I have a weight on my shoulder and I just like can't release it, you know? So that's where like the ceremonies have really helped me is like honestly after my first sweat, it was like I had a a huge weight lifted off me. Like it was so crazy. I left and I was just like empty, it felt like, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how else to explain it, but like I
Yeah.
literally felt empty. So yeah, I'm very empathetic.
Yeah, so you also had to deal with I guess mental gymnastics. I'm gonna use that. Mind if I steal that?
I'm gonna trademark it.
No, don't do that, man. Because that's a really I like that terminology, mental gymnastics. Because like I was going through everyday thing. Like it doesn't only have to be line. I guess it can also be the line of work because like there's some individuals that you might always kind of get annoyed of at like a certain time. So like you just gotta use mental gymnastics. I'm using that. Don't trademark that. So you always have to kind of like shift your perspective and kind of like think of a different way of thinking and like totally like even if you because I work on the radio and I embarrass myself a lot, but I always have to like shift my thought of like, okay, I'm gonna do better next time and maybe make it more entertaining and have more pizzazz in it and like I guess that's sort of how I feel too when I was working with kids. I was a TA, and that's exactly how I felt. Because I always got scared to go into work, and like I felt like that's not sort of the best feeling to have before going into work. And like I don't know, I kind of got scared. I just didn't want to get out of bed, and I just wanted to like try and make every excuse just to not go to work. But I would just shift my thinking of just thinking like this isn't for me, it's for them. And like I need to try my best to really give them something that they haven't experienced or don't really get to experience. So I was working in Waterhen, so I wasn't really I was scared. That was totally new community that I was part of and like it was totally scary to like at least be into that community because like I don't know, I just felt like the new kid on the block or the new kid on the res, and like I didn't know anything. But that's sort of what I had to do too. Is like he's a mental gymnastics. Man, I love that. Seriously. But yeah, so that's what I feel like. Even coming back home to Onion Lake, I kind of was more introvert now. I'm more introvert. I don't necessarily like going out, but when I do, I kind of need to like pump myself up and get like that change my way of thinking and like I get to go. So that's sort of where what I kind of learned just this past weekend is just I get to do this, I get to do that. And like I don't know, it's like no one really has been in your shoes. Like they say they know what you're going through or have experienced what you're going through, but they haven't like they haven't been in your shoes, but what you gotta do is just take it one day at a time and just or 1 month at a time and just like ask, just really think of the glass half full, you know? So that's where I enjoy my stoicism and that's where that kind of comes into play. And I'm thankful for my brother always reading his books to me because that's I don't know, he's a big reader. So that's sort of what I'm trying to get into as well, starting to try read again. I'm not sure. I talked about this book here to Taden. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence Others. Yeah, no, it's a little cheesy title, but like it's really it helps knowing, I guess, the human psychology because we're creatures of emotion, not creatures of logic, and like we always, I guess, go through our days on based on our emotions, I guess how we're feeling that day. And that's sort of what I want to try to do is like try to think more logistically and like that's sort of where I kind of found that really helpful when I was working as a TA, but now working here, I kind of still have to have that in play because it the radio is for the community, and I guess I want to try give them more of a positive vibe, give them the good vibes. So I'm not sure. That's sort of where I felt that's where it's really helped me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll pass the talking stick to one of you guys.
Yeah.
So you guys go.
Yeah, we're already actually at an hour, so I guess we'll probably have to wrap it up pretty soon. So if you guys have any I guess closing remarks you'd want to talk about at all, so
Yeah, if you guys use mental gymnastics, you do owe me a premium because I will be trademarking it.
Dang. Yeah, have anything else to say before we leave, Madeline?
I was just gonna say, kind of bouncing off what you had said, if you listen to somebody's stories, it's not really about like looking at the differences within, it's more so looking at the similarities. So knowing like, yeah, we all are here on this earth, but we all walk a different path. But don't look at those differences within each and every one. Like look at those similarities and know like there are similarities between me and everyone at this table, but there are also those differences, but we can also be there for each other in one way or another.
Yeah, I love that. That's really philosophical. I'm gonna keep using these big words because Theron's using big words too. But yeah, have anything to say before you dip out?
No, I guess this was a really great discussion today, and it seems
Yeah.
like everyone else in the comments were really enjoying the discussion we had today. So yeah, pretty much I would love to have you guys back if you guys would want to join, because I really like all the stuff you talked about today, you as well. So if you guys would be willing to come back, I definitely want to have another, I guess, episode on this, because again, we can just keep going on and on about this topic. So
Yeah, so
for
thank
sure.
thank you all
Yeah.
so much, because like Taden said, that's really nice. So I'm very informative now. I feel like I've gained a lot of information, and I enjoy listening to other people's stories, like how you said, and just learning about the similarities, but we're very different. And yeah, so thank you so much for enlightening me with all of you guys' insight, and it's really awesome. So thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
yeah, and thank you everyone for who watched today, and we're just gonna be ending the stream here. So thank you everyone.
Deuces.